Time for Random Rush. You know what that means. I listen to Rush Limbaugh for 60 seconds, and I respond in 90. It is now 1:10, almost 1:11 p.m. on the East Coast. Let's listen in.
Wide effort to combat climate change. And so I'm just under the impression that everybody knows that the Pope from day to day appears to be different people on political issues. So I flippantly said the Pope will probably support this as a throwaway line, not really meaning that the Pope would support it. It was just a comment on how the left goes back and forth, despising and then liking and having hope in and then drifting back to hating the Pope and so forth. So I apologize if any of you were offended by this. It was simply an error made with my assuming that everybody listens every day to every word and therefore is listening to the program in context. In other words, there are times I don't think I have to explain the joke, that I think everybody gets it.
All right. Well, there is a Rush Limbaugh who I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about. The Pope is going to deliver a major, what they call encyclical. Is that what it is? Which is essentially an edict. I don't know much about Catholicism or how the Vatican works, but an edict this summer, I believe, about climate change and placing the issue of doing something about climate change at the top of the list, essentially, of what it takes to become to be a good Catholic. There is, of course, in December, a big meeting, international meeting on climate change in Paris. And so that's what this is all about. And apparently, Rush Limbaugh expects too much of his audience for them to get his jokes about the Pope. Now, you didn't hear him make that type of apology about Sandra Fluck, did you? I guess maybe he has more Catholic listeners or just a diminishing number of listeners on a daily basis. So now he's got to apologize more. I imagine 5 or 6 years ago, he wouldn't have had to apologize for something like this. Maybe 10 years ago. Because his audience was big enough that he could afford to alienate that. But now he's got to tiptoe around his ever-aging, diminishing audience. And he doesn't know how to deal with a major religious leader who is actually coming out and supporting, broadly speaking, much more so certainly than any of his his forefathering popes, broadly liberal positions. So Limbaugh he's got to be very careful.